So I don't know. Let's take Tesla, right? Huge, obvious example at the moment. Do I think, based on all the fundamentals and everything that's going on, in the next 5 to 10 years, this will be a strong company in the world environment? And this is a riskier side asset. If I believe that this is there and I've done my due diligence, yes. Do I believe that it will be 20% higher by next week? I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be 50% lower by next week. But on the whole, things progress. And
You know what makes me really uncomfortable now?
there you go.
That camera there, this one, is like right on my screen. All it shows is like audio stuff, but it makes me uncomfortable. Oh, let me put, am I on Do Not Disturb? Let me put my thing in Do Not Disturb in case people see the stuff.
What stuff?
No stuff. There's no stuff, Ash.
It always just sounds so shady.
I know. Yeah, no stuff, man.
It's probably like gifts for my mum.
Yeah. Did you see that ad that like Google did for Do Not Disturb Incognito?
No.
It was like so that you can buy your fiance a gift or like your wife an anniversary gift. I was like, who's using Incognito?
Like, I forget to use it for that. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. Like, do you have a question if it really is Incognito?
It's not incognito.
Are you sure?
What, as in, do you question whether...
Like Google still knows.
Google still knows. Your internet company still knows.
Yeah.
Everyone still knows.
Exactly. Because I'm trying to wrap my dumb brain around VPNs.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how they work. So apparently, your laptop sends whenever you browse a web, you send a request. You go to Google, Facebook, whatever, to your internet provider. The internet provider fetches the website and it presents it to you. The way a VPN works is you request it from the VPN and then the VPN requests it.
Oh, so
I'm like, does it jumble up its request? How does...
So that's interesting because I was having a similar thought that does a VPN actually work? Or...
I'm questioning this.
Because you're trusting, I don't know, I use ExpressVPN. Like, at the end of the day, who knows if they're actually doing their job?
Yeah, here's what I will say. VPN companies are sponsoring a lot of podcasts.
Right.
So we shouldn't crap on Express if they want to.
No, but what I'm saying is if they are working,
Yeah.
then they're probably making money. And if they are making money, they've got enough money to sponsor podcasts.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're legitimate, sponsor our podcast and
Be
you're
honest,
in.
mate, if you're not that legit... No.
But no, it's interesting. But they must have cameras all over... computers all over the world? Or...
Servers. Sure.
Yeah. Did you think...
Or is it their servers or are they just using AWS?
I don't know. I really hope it's theirs.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that's really
Because then
interesting.
Jeff Bezos knows exactly what
I saw a funny tweet actually the other day.
Go ahead.
He said, are we past the tech point where we're just selling tech companies that are AWS servers wrappers kind of things? So basically, Instagram was an AWS wrapper, right?
Yeah.
It was just a company built on AWS.
Yeah.
So it was just basically thinking about how in the last 10 years, pretty much every company is just an AWS wrapper.
Right. Everything's just a user interface. That's all you're selling.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And you're not actually building any substance.
Like Amazon just hosts most of the internet at this point. They did that really under the radar.
Yeah.
If you're ever on a website and you click on a website, in a brief moment that it loads, you'll see AWS in the URL. That's just on Amazon. Like Amazon just has that, and then it's just publishing it to the world.
And it's quite crazy that what happens, it's so centralized that if one of Amazon's servers go down or they get hacked, like what are the implications? It's already happened. We've seen AWS go down and this website's down, Netflix is down, everything's down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the University of Harvard hosts one of its platforms on AWS. So like to submit your work, like a bunch of students couldn't submit their work for a while because AWS went down.
Interesting. There we go.
I had something for the start of the episode, but
Okay,
I've completely lost it.
Okay.
It was really dumb. It was so stupid. Have you got anything? Any dumb wild facts?
For the wild facts?
Just for like a fun little intro.
What facts?
Yeah, what bothers you? Like on a late night drive, you think, oh wow, can't believe that happens.
I can't believe how pessimistic people are about the world.
Wow, that's deep, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah. You ever been that guy though? It's
all
all
the
too
time.
It's all too easy to fall into that trap. I've been that guy for sure.
And you just like, I don't want to bring kids up in this world. I don't want to, you know, work in this world when everything's against me or anything. And it's like, at the end of the day, there's so much to look forward to in the future. Yes, bad stuff is happening, but great stuff is happening too. And the majority of people are good people. That's what we forget. We let a few bad eggs do it. So yeah, that's really annoying me at the moment. That it's like how negative people are in the world, and I understand why, but we need to change things.
I think bad people get a lot more publicity though. Like I've talked about this countless times, right? There's so much talk about. There's two sides to that fence. There's two people arguing that argument. Like, I should be able to do X. And the other person's like, I should be able to do Y. I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. And you read these things and you get angry. And you're just like, why is this? Yeah. And then you realize this has never occurred to me in life. I've never been in that scenario. I've never had that argument with a real human being. I've just witnessed it on Instagram.
Right.
And I just wonder how many other things are like that.
How many things are not actually taking place that we think, oh,
yeah, just the scale, right? If you look on social media for 10 minutes, you would think that every other person you encounter has a really loud, strong opinion about something that they have to shout in your face. Yeah. But nobody's ever really done that to me. So either I'm really unapproachable or like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just not that big a deal.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
And there we are.
There we are.
Boom.
So let's start the episode.
Let's start. So, episode 4?
4? No, we're doing 3.
Okay.
Because we filmed an episode and we're questioning whether we're going to release it.
Ooh,
we might. So this is technically 3.
This is an override of 3.
Yeah.
Or maybe let's just call it 4.
Yeah.
And then everyone's always thinking about where's 3.
What happened to number 3?
Yeah. And then we just drop it one day.
It's like that old joke of, I don't know if this actually happened. Somebody released 3 sheep into a school. And they named it 1, 2, and 4. Rumor has it to this day they're still looking for number 3.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. We're talking about the monies.
We're talking about the monies.
Yeah.
Are we talking about money?
We're talking about money. We're giving official FCA Financial Conduct Authority approved financial advice.
Amazing. Yeah. I love that. You know, we love the advice. We love the official.
It's been signed off. Yeah. Economics degree. Economics, you said?
Yeah, barely, but yeah. No, economics, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I'm kidding. We're not here to give advice. We're here to share dumb stories of dumb stuff we've done. Because I think I've got way more stories about bad financial decisions I've made.
Yeah. We've all got plenty.
Yeah. What's, and if you don't have an answer to heart, I've got one, so let me know. What's the most expensive mistake you've ever made?
Oh, okay. No, expensive is I don't know. Okay, you go first.
Okay, do you know I've made some dumb mistakes since, so I might have something that trumps this. But I helped someone move once, and I was renting a car for this. I never told this individual. I might have told him years later. I was driving this rental car. If I'm being brutally honest, I wasn't paying that much attention to the road, and a car coming down was trying to overtake somebody. So I basically had to swerve to get out of their way.
Okay.
Curbed 2 wheels, and I returned the car. I said, "I'm really sorry this happened. You have a deposit or whatever. I'm sure it will come out to whatever." How much do you think 2 scuffed wheels cost me?
I don't know. Could you probably a couple £100?
Yeah, right. It
Maybe.
Cost me £1,250,
Wow.
and I was too dumb and young to fight it. But ultimately, something in the terms and conditions. I was like 19 at the time, so I had to find kind of a shady company to let me rent a car. So I imagine he just replaced both wheels. So £1,250, 2 wheels, 2 tires, whatever.
Were they diamond alloy wheels?
I don't, dude. They might have been made of gold, but
no, they were just standard alloy wheels.
Standard alloy wheels. And here's the thing: I was a student, so I had a student bank account with Santander at the time, and I'm still angry at Santander. By the way, the only reason why I still have my account with them is because the longer you have an account, the better your credit score is. So I can't shut it down. Yeah. But to absolute hell with those people.
Yeah, okay.
I don't like calling out companies, but they can go to hell. They've treated me like crap for years.
Yeah.
But you can't take out more than £250 out of my bank account without like my authorization. Good security protocol. So they took £1,250 and I got a text saying, hey, this payment's been rejected because, we don't want to give them £1,200.
Yeah.
So they must have tried this with Santander before because they knew. So $249.99, $205.
The company,
Yeah.
the rental company.
The rental company until they got their money's worth.
Wow.
Yeah. So just that slight swerve, scratch wheels, £1,250. Not even like gently, not even monthly payments or whatever. I was a broke ass student and it was just
wow.
gone.
And it was a shady rental company.
Yeah. It was, do you know what it was? It was a car park in Barking. So like Barking doesn't have the best reputation in London.
Bad.
But if you are...
Did they pick up on the scuffed wheels or did you tell them?
I told them.
Okay. No, that's good.
Yeah. Nah, man, lie.
Yeah.
Don't be honest in this world. It'll get you nowhere.
Wait, so was it noticeable? They would have picked up on it.
I think so. Do you know what it was? It was like you'd done a bad parking job. We're talking about scuffed wheels here. We're not talking about like a chip or anything. Just like a bit. I think it's called like road rash or something. Yeah. So just a curb rash.
Yeah. We all have them.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, you've seen that before.
So you could have just blamed it on the previous person.
No, because they do an inventory, and I didn't know how in depth because they mark out all the cars and the stuff on the car.
Yeah.
Nowadays they do video.
You could just fight that off. Yeah.
Yeah, like I shouldn't have told them basically.
No, but that's not the moral of the story, right?
No.
What's the moral of the story?
Don't agree to rent a car from a random dude in a car park in Barking.
Yeah. There's not much you could learn from that, to be honest, right? There's not much you could go back and say, oh, that was an obvious mistake I made.
Now here's one.
Okay.
Don't bank with Santander.
Oh.
Yeah. Do all the shady things you want in the world. Just don't bank with Santander.
Don't bank with Santander because they have a minimum amount.
No, because like I just don't like them, man.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that goes deeper.
Yeah.
But damn. But that wasn't a mistake. I don't think that I don't see many
I
mistakes
curbed the wheels.
there.
The mistake is is a driving mistake. That cost me £1,200. Yeah.
But it wasn't a financial decision as such, or not a direct one.
No, that's uni by far.
Yeah.
That's 6 figures of money that I'm never seeing again, and I'm never using. So.
Financial mistakes are painful in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Or when you have to fork out more than you anticipated.
Yeah.
I recently had an issue with my car.
Oh, yeah.
Again, thought it would just be a minimal amount. My word, how wrong I was.
Yeah.
And it really hurt in the moment because it was just a stupid thing.
Enough to ruin a day.
Yeah, it was me and the wall. Yeah. It was me, the car, and a wall, and that was all it took.
Yeah.
Just a few seconds of kind of misjudgment.
Was it negligence or like how were you feeling?
Complete negligence.
Okay, so you weren't like angry or anything.
Complete what? I was angry.
No, I mean like beforehand. The anger didn't cause the accident.
No. Okay. I was going 1 mile an hour in my drive.
Oh, was it on your drive?
Yeah.
Oh, no, listen, I wanted to initially make fun of you, but I needed to understand this because your drive is really hard to pull into.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially, was it dark?
Yeah.
Your driveway is so dark at night.
Yeah. I'm
so
glad
dark.
you think that's but we have floodlights now.
Do you?
It's just
it's going to be hard.
It's tight.
Yeah.
So you've just got to pay attention.
Yeah.
And I know that's quite obvious in all driving, but you know when you're home and you think you're home, you kind of go into a bit of like just standard behavior. And I took my eye off my wing mirror slightly and just curbed it into the wall slightly. And it's tight.
How you feel now though? Feeling better?
Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that's obviously I'm still a bit hurt, and when I have to pay the money to the bodywork team, it's going to hurt again.
Yeah.
But in the grand schemes of everything, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of money mistakes. It's really hard in the moment, and it takes some of them are tougher pills to swallow than others. But I don't know. Money's just this weird thing that you're like, actually, like, the hell, that was probably just going to sit. I don't know. It's a weird attachment that we have to it.
Yeah. You got anything worse than that? Any really poor?
Yeah, I've got huge. No, they're not mistakes, but I've made investment decisions that haven't always panned out the way I wanted to. Then I've made other ones that have panned out really well, and they shouldn't have. So it all balances out in the end, and you just break even if you're lucky.
And then you're back at square one.
Literally, that is how I see most things. That like I know it's such a positive, smushy mushy way of looking at things, but I do think everything balances out pretty much. So, I curbed my car today, but you'll make it back another day. Yeah. And I probably owe that money somewhere along the line anyway for something I got lucky with. Yeah. But money.
Money, yeah.
What does money mean to you? We've had this conversation a little while ago.
Did we?
In terms of like its a whole transactional means.
Oh, yeah. The meaning behind
it.
money, yeah.
But we want to go into more of what does it mean for you? Why do we put so much value beyond it? And kind of go deeper into that there. And what advice would we give to others in the way they treat money?
Yeah.
Because if I take your example, and I'd say the same for me, we've gone through periods of our life where we've been a bit tighter with, or needed to be tight with money.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons, student life being one of them. Whatever previously, to a period where actually, the earning starts, the disposable income starts. And then you go through periods of turmoil or expenses again. So take me through how your attitude to money's changed.
Okay, I just want to clarify one thing though. At uni, I wasn't being tight. That's what led to like years of being tight to recoup the dumb decisions I made at uni. No, sir. The day student loan comes in, do you know what I think? I think banks, especially ones that offer you large overdrafts, they're in cahoots, Ash. Mm-hmm. They're in cahoots with the student loans company. I reckon they're the ones that say, no, don't pay them monthly. Just drop $3,000 in their account one day. And let's see if they act responsibly with it. And we'll pick up the pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How were you when your money dropped in your account for your student loan?
I had problems. They refused to believe that I was Swedish.
Okay.
So I got into like, I paid like 3 months worth of rent. I paid bills, food, all of that stuff out of my overdraft in hopes that student loans was coming in one day.
Yep.
And they just delayed it by 3 months. I got kicked out of my course for a few days.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I got a letter saying that because they didn't just pull the money they were giving to me, they pulled the money going to the university as well.
Is that because they thought you were an international student?
No, I was only entitled to, essentially. You're only entitled to student loans if you've been in the country for 3 years. Mm-hmm. By the time I went to uni, I'd been in the country for 11 years, 12 years.
Right.
So they just refused to accept that. So I was like, how can I prove to you that I've been here for the last 3 years? They said, get the last 3 years worth of bank statements from the bank. So I went there. They don't just print that off for you. They have to send you a letter.
Not the fact you went to school here, you didn't.
No, they don't give a crap. I was like, you have my GCSEs. You have my GCSEs. So it was a fat stack, genuine, about this thick. Because it's 3 years worth of bank statements.
Yeah.
So I sent that off and they said, no, it needs a cover letter. So I sent the cover letter and they're like, no, they need to be together. So I sent it off. And by the weeks pass of me just calling every day, like, hey, what's going on? So I sent them bank statements with a cover letter. I sent it off and they're like, no, you have to reapply for student loan now because we've cancelled everything.
Right.
So I reapplied and then they were just like, well, we can't give you all the money. I was like, I don't want all the money. Just give me basically this took about 3 months. And it was just 3 months of bills and all the sorts. And I just didn't have any money. So that was kind of complicated. But when things sort of normalized, because at that point I had 2 jobs to kind of cover me. I worked at O2 and Cineworld,
right?
Which was a lot of fun, actually.
It's a lot
it's a lot of popcorn to keep you going. But when I think what was really cool is that money was keeping me going. So when I got all of the student loans money, it was enough to pay off some of it, and then I still had a little bit of sludge left over.
Okay.
Which, again, I was very irresponsible with, and I was soon back to zero.
Yeah. How were you irresponsible?
Do you know what my kryptonite? I think my kryptonite is food. I think I'm super lazy with it, so I'd order takeout too often. I wasn't like a huge party animal at uni. I wasn't spending loads on a night out or anything like that. There were the occasional ones, of course. I'm not denying that. But I don't think a majority of my money went to that. I think it was just poor food decisions, and that stuff adds up real quick.
Did you ever think of food? Because I know I did this. I used to think of food as a necessity. So I was like, no, of course I must spend X amount. Yeah. But trying to hide the fact that there are different ways of kind of fulfilling that necessity. You know, you can either cook your own meal and look at what the cost behind it, or you can order takeout. Yeah. And there's a necessity and a want. and
Yeah.
a designer. Yeah, I used to get mixed up. Yeah.
And I had just a few really expensive things that I started to purchase. One was a laptop.
Okay.
I bought myself a real nice MacBook
Okay.
with student discount, but still comes out to quite a big chunk.
Yeah.
And I bought a camera because I
Okay.
wanted to take pictures of stuff. But again, the camera was like £900. So
Yeah.
these things start to rack up. That's where I think I was a bit silly with it. But do you know what? That camera and the laptop, I got a lot of work out. That was the laptop that I brought to start working here with.
Right. Okay.
Right?
So
It lasted me a while. That camera I ended up selling years down the line. But it was, yeah, so I'm trying to paint a picture here. To be honest, I'm questioning now where the hell my money went. But I think it was more of a series of bad decisions.
Yeah. And you were living in London, right?
I was living in London, yeah.
Which
So
is no
rent was crazy high.
TFL.
Yeah, I mean, I walked to uni, but I took the train to work
Okay.
quite often.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
living.
sort of-
Just trying.
But sorry, to answer your original question, my relationship with money has changed in that the less money I had, the more I thought about it, and I thought that trajectory would continue. Right, as I started to sort of get myself out of a financial rut, I thought I'd become more and more obsessed with money. But what actually ended up happening is I started focusing on other things in my life.
Okay.
So I'm in a position now where if I'm careful, I can have everything I want. Right. So if I'm careful, that means if I don't overspend on like a car or my rent, I rent at the moment, I can still save up to buy. It'll take me a bit longer, but I can still save up to buy. I can still go out for food with friends, but I shouldn't be ordering takeout every night. I should be cooking and things like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think about money anymore. I thought like, once I get to this target, I'll think, I want more and I need to earn more and I need to figure out how I can earn more. But I fluctuated between the two. It's a very unhappy thing to pursue constantly.
Yeah, but we all do it.
100%.
And I think, ultimately I chop and change through the same thought process of like, money means nothing to me. I'm in this for everything else in life. And then something knocks into your life that makes you think about money again. Could be an expensive, you could be moving into your house. You could be, there could be an event or a life event or something which requires money, and suddenly it forces you, even if you had no intention of being involved in it, forces your attention towards, I need to pay for this. And I think that's the power it has over us.
You ever fall victim to it being other people that make you think of money?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, I always like to think that I'm not, but I've caught myself a few times recently where I'm like, why do I want that? I was like, because I saw that other person had it.
And I think that's a chain reaction, right?
Yeah.
It goes on to other people because then you may mention something that you've heard from someone else to someone else, and like it causes you to keep thinking about it. I think a big thing that you see on social media at the moment, and it infuriates me,
What grinds your gears?
Are these people that talk about salaries, but they talk about them in such ridiculous ways. I do think this was part of the whole bubble that's happened with jobs over the last 2 to 3 years post-pandemic. Kind of the tightening of the labour market. It's caused this inflation of salaries that aren't reflective of the productivity that are being put into those jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not that people aren't working hard, but those salaries aren't necessarily reflective of what productivity is coming out of them.
Yeah.
And that's a known fact. People have been talking about that all over, which is why the Federal Reserve in America is trying to tighten the economy, because it thinks wages have risen too much, in certain areas and certain jobs. Big area of that happened in tech in America. So like the likes of the Facebooks, the Meta, all of these companies. And what that led to is this whole swarm of social media people talking about salaries, saying, 100K, that's a starting point in America. Bam, they were talking about it as if it was nothing.
Yeah.
And that started to get ingrained into so many people thinking what they were earning was very little.
Right.
Because you keep thinking about these numbers, you're seeing it. When in fact, the majority of people that were tweeting these things have never seen anything near those numbers in their salaries.
Yeah.
But it caused this whole reaction.
So all of these people talking, do you know what? I think I might have actually felt that at some point. But all these people talking about all of these salaries, this is crazy. The other day I saw a fact, like the UK average salary at the age of like 29, 30
Yeah.
is about 31,500.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not
Yeah.
what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'd seen all of these things. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, really?
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of, I don't know how does that make you feel when you see a number like that?
It belittles you a little bit, thinking, I didn't belittle me, but I understand how it belittles the general consensus that, you're below average. You're not there. And I think it puts you on a measuring stick.
Oh, I don't know about that. Do you mean the 31.5, or are you
no,
talking about the tech industry?
The tech industry.
Right.
Numbers.
Yeah.
The 31.5, how does that make me feel?
Yeah.
I don't know how does that make you feel?
Me, relieved, dude.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's in their own trajectory, right? I know people earning less that are way happier. I know people earning more that are not as happy.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's running their own race, and the salary thing isn't an issue. Comparing the salary is an issue. Mm-hmm. But as a society, you might still desire certain things. You might still want to have similar things to large groups of people. There's a reason why we're all clumped together, and not spread apart in our own little squares. So yeah, it was a bit of relief, to be honest, because I think maybe I'd seen all of these tech salaries and I was like, well, that would mean I could have this, and I don't.
Yeah, exactly. The lifestyle that I want, all of this stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, like, I don't know. Relief is the wrong word, but it was more of like, stop rushing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the average. Stop rushing.
Yeah, and I think the issue here is it's like saying, I don't know, let's take your height. What are you, 6 foot?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we use height as a measuring stick as well, because
it's
I plugged it there on purpose. Height's another measuring stick, right? How tall are you? You can easily compare. What's good, what's bad, is subjective, right? But that's what people discuss. Now, if someone told you, if you constantly heard on social media and everything that like, guys are 6'5", anything below 6'5" is nothing. You're tiny. You're
I'm hearing a lot of,
right?
I'm hearing again so much.
And then you just Google average height.
Yeah.
And you'll see what it's 5'8", 5'9", around my height. Yeah. That's the standard amount. And then you're like, hold on a second. Everything I'm reading, everything I'm being told is bam, 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 height. Average height is 6'5". It's like, no, even the people tweeting those things aren't 6'5". Like, no one's, the NBA basketball player, you're not there. And it's the same with salaries. It's the same with everything. And you start to think of yourself as far below average, but so far out of reach, which is the difficult part.
Right, yeah.
That's the thing. If you were close, you're like, okay, I can work there. But when it's so far out of reach, you almost become pessimistic, negative.
Yeah.
And it goes to a conversation pre-episode where you just become like, you're not optimistic about anything.
Yeah. Why even try?
Why even try? What's the point of me working hard? These people are tweeting on social media all day and they're earning whatever they are.
Yeah.
Wherever they are. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a real difficult thing. So I think we all need to like just get back to kind of ground level, understand what we're doing, and we're going to see that in the economy a lot more. And I'm not saying it's good, because we will see layoffs and stuff like that. We've discussed that, but things needed to cool down a little bit. Like, there are a lot of people that work incredibly hard and earn incredibly well because of that.
Yeah.
But there's no denying that there wasn't a bubbling of, as I said, people that weren't necessarily putting in the work respect of their salary. And companies are coming into that. Meta are one. They're looking at their salaries. They're saying there's a whole tier of management people that don't really do much.
Yeah.
And they're scrapping them. Good, bad, I don't know, but that's what this is happening. Yeah.
We should, just to avoid the tyranny of people working in tech, just say that, some of you are worth that.
Yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
And leave that to the company.
Yeah, exactly. Some of you are.
Yeah. But what I'm essentially getting at is the fact that, things bubbled very quickly, and it caused kind of disillusion with salaries and money in general. Yeah. Interesting
that you say disillusion. How do you generally openly talk about finances? Let's break it down. Family. Are you open with? Is your family typically pretty open with finances?
Yeah, pretty open. Yeah.
Okay. Friends?
Fairly open. we don't talk about earnings or anything like that.
Okay.
If someone asked me, I would tell them.
Yeah.
But typically it's just not a done thing to do. We'll talk about investments. We'll talk about what we're allocating. But again, it's
so grown up.
There's no need, in my opinion, to necessarily talk about what you're earning.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was one of the, and that's not from a hidden point of view. It's from a, what difference does it make? Will you look at me differently if I earn more than you thought or less than you thought?
Yeah.
If you have a genuine question, fine, go direct, but don't. Yeah, there's no real conversation. It's one of the reasons actually I kind of tried to avoid the whole city life,
right?
Because even at uni, getting intern offers and stuff, all the conversations that we were having about jobs, like I was in econ, so a large portion of people were going into finance, right, and into banking, investment banking. The kind of conversations that kept going around were not what are you doing or genuine interest in what you're doing. It's what are you going to earn? Like what's the starting salary? And that really got to me. It actually made me feel a bit sick inside because no one cared about what they were working in or what. I remember some of the starting salaries were really good.
Yeah.
But none of those people are still working at those jobs.
I won't ask specifically, but given the national I said, above, below,
far above.
Okay, cool.
We're talking,
paint a picture.
We're talking, they were starting around 38 onwards,
Very
which
nice.
Straight out of uni is a chunk.
Oh, dude, it's
right?
wild.
I mean, there were people that were on straight over to like 90, 100.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Dude,
those jobs were there.
For reference, anyone thinking about studying media studies, I'll let you know now. Mine was 19 and a half. Go study econ.
I don't know. Like I said, not many of those they keep those jobs for very long.
Yeah.
And it's not everything it's made out to be. And people will go, but if you're earning 100K, what's not to like? It's like,
it's 40 hours of your week minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah, that's finance.
That's if you're
finance.
lucky. Yeah. You're talking your weekends, you're talking your evenings.
Yeah.
But it's not even about that. It's the high intense pressure that goes along with it. That people often think, I'll do this for 5 years, then I'll retire with the money I've saved up. Turns out majority don't save anything during those periods. And is it worth it? Is it what for? What are you building? So that was one of my biggest concerns with money. I just hate comparison.
Yeah.
In that respect,
That's very aligned with what you were saying earlier, though, where you don't necessarily talk about how much money is coming in with your friends, but you do tend to talk about how much is coming out, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the juicy bit. That's interesting. That's the interesting conversations can be had around that. But in terms of how much is coming in, that doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And that's kind of the real flex, right?
Yeah.
Again, not figures like, I invested X amount into here and so on, unless the specifics are asked, but that's the real sexy bit. Like, how much were you able to put aside into things? Like, I've got friends that are on where we're talking the kind of the average salaries that you're talking about, and their investments are incredible. What they've managed to do in the last since they graduated, so showing my age, about 7-8 years, phenomenal. Considering they've been on very what people would call average salaries.
Yeah,
and then I've got friends that are in awe of you even thinking about investing in a property because it's just unheard of. But yet they're on good, solid finance jobs in London. But the idea of owning their own property is just a bit out of reach. Yes, that's London prices, but it's also London spending, London saving. So, I think that's a real sexy part, is what can you actually put aside?
Where you put in your money.
Yeah.
It's a very... I don't know how my brother said this in passing, so I don't know how true or how real it is, but apparently a very Swedish staple is you don't get rich by how much you earn, you get rich by how much you save, which is very interesting.
I love that.
But that brings me on to what kind of contradicts something you said upstairs of you wanted to talk about how angry you are at the people who are recommending that you don't buy a latte.
Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, Ash.
Yeah.
According to you, to your financial advice, should I be allowed to enjoy an occasional latte or not?
Depends what you value from your latte.
Yeah.
So the reason I was calling out the people that tell you not to buy a Starbucks, and Starbucks is horrific in pricing.
Starbucks is horrific in general.
It's daylight robbery.
Starbucks is a master of marketing and branding.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else is subpar.
Yeah. By the way, in this climate, they're about to open something like 200 new stores in the UK.
Mate, it's wild.
Is this part of your lipstick effect?
Maybe
People
because
spoiling themselves a little bit.
By the way, I didn't come up with this theory, but
yeah, but it's yours.
It's something I keep bringing up in meetings.
The latte effect.
The latte effect. Yeah, where you can't afford to buy the big new TV or a big new car, but you're like, I deserve to treat myself. So you buy the lipstick. The lipstick industry tends to see a surge in recessions, and so maybe people are like, I deserve a coffee. Maybe, but. It's wild. I was in Manchester with my family and we went to a big shopping mall called the Trafford Centre there. Huge deal. And the queue for Starbucks was out the door.
Yeah.
Out the door.
Right.
And a friend of mine who went to America was like, all of them are like that over there in the States. Every single one of them, massive queues. That's why the app is so popular.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, masters in branding, probably decent at coffee. I don't think they're great at coffee, but... Yeah.
Another thing that you'll find very interesting: masters at finance, because you can to buy coffee, you buy points and then you pay with the points. So they have your cash in advance.
Yeah, I heard that.
It's brilliant
stuff. Yeah, phenomenal cash flow.
Kind of messed up, but genius. Yeah.
It's crazy how these big companies, going on a bit of tangent, manage their cash flow so well. Like we talk about Amazon, the likes of that, where they get paid up front and then they pay out later.
Yeah, we're not thrilled about that, but
but it's just the process, and that's how they grow. They scale on other people's cash. Yeah. In that respect. But going back to Starbucks, the latte effect. In theory, what I said sounds like it's contradictory, right? I was talking about saving, and I'm there. I'm not necessarily talking about. What I was essentially getting at is these Instagram gurus who go on about finance as if it's the easiest thing to do. It's so obvious, like cut out the coffee and you're going to be saving money. And it's much more deeper than that. It's looking at lifestyle habits and so on, because someone out there will, I think people underestimate the financial literacy of the population. And that's not looking down on anyone. That's just simply saying, we are not taught how to manage our finances at any point, other than, if our family or good friends teach us anything. School teaches you nothing. If anything, it tries to teach you the opposite of that. And I don't know why, but the big theory here is, so I'm looking at all these Instagram people and they're just like, cut out that and you can start to save towards a mortgage. It's like, no, you need to look at lifestyle things, because you can cut out the coffee, but you start having a takeaway in the evening. And that may seem so obvious, but these are lifestyle changes that are going on. And then what are you doing with that? Where are you actually forecasting to put your money towards? Like, are you just keeping money on the side for a big splurge on a camera or a laptop? Or are you actually putting it towards an investment or going somewhere? I had a big conversation with a family member recently where I spoke about investment, and I said our generation's got a huge issue where we do not know how to save or invest.
Well, can I be honest with you, as somebody who knows very little about this stuff? I have some money set aside for some purposes, and I have some money in other places. Yeah, I have no idea what a good idea of what to do with my money is, and you're right. Like, I'm somebody who actively sought this. Yeah. I read books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Fantastic, yeah.
Fantastic book. I'm heartbroken that he got done for tax fraud, so only listen to 80% of that book. And then I Will Make You Rich by the other chap. I'll put it on screen. And even still, there's some fantastic takeaways from that book, and it gives you a general outlook on what to do with money, what good and bad looks like. But I actually don't know really all that well what good looks like. Yeah. So when it comes to investing, property doesn't seem like all that great an idea sometimes. Sometimes it seems like a great idea. Buying shares in companies doesn't seem like that a great idea. Sometimes seems like a great idea other times. Yeah. And then you got index funds, which seem to be like the investing for dummies, which is what I want to go with. Very good. Yeah. But it's like, I don't understand.
I think what we need to do is zoom out a little bit. We're looking at the micro current climate at the moment, and what I mean by that is how things are performing today. Right. We're in 2023. Yeah. What is going on? I don't want to put my money in stocks. I don't want to put them in properties. I don't know what to do with my cash. Investing's horrible. It's like, no, zoom out a little bit. Overall, if you look at the last 10, 20 years, property prices have grown. Yeah. That's a known fact. Same with the S&P 500. The same with the FTSE 500. Yeah. These things in general do grow and they do mature. Yes, if you zoom in on 2008, 2009, things don't look so sweet. If you look over the last few years as well, things haven't always looked so sweet, and they have other times. So zoom out, and I think before you even, like, if people get carried away with, where am I going to put my money though? It's like, well, just because you're not sure where to put your money doesn't mean it's better to spend it.
Right.
And it's so obvious, but I'll go through this because I've had the same conversation with a few people, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm really not by any means. I do spend money. I enjoy things to a good level. But what is infuriating me is people's understanding that if I don't spend my money, then what else am I going to do with it? It's better than sitting in a bank.
That's the other time pressure of money is losing its worth.
Yeah.
There's so many things happening. But can I just say something?
Yeah.
You made a very good point about zooming out, because that's what I've heard all the time, the S&P 500 property prices and all that stuff. Do you know what's becoming more and more of a very genuine concern for me? Is that the world has changed so much in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
When you think in terms of technology, cars, look at cars, how much they've changed. I just don't know I just know that the opportunity for the whole thing to get flipped on its head is there.
Of course. And that's where obviously a little bit of diversification is good.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if everything gets flipped on its head, we need guns and bullets. Like if the world comes to the end, then
damn, dude, that's dark.
forget your Tesla shares or your Apple shares. Yeah. I'm sorry, we're out there. We're till the end. That's it. Yeah. No one's going to care about what you've got in each investment. But on the 99% probability that things will be all right, and things will sort themselves out, it's looking at necessarily, firstly, a diversified portfolio. It's getting out of the mentality of day trading. Like, how did my shares do today, tomorrow? Yeah. Again, being a complete culprit to it, still do it occasionally, but understanding that
you sold your Bitcoin.
Never. If I stop looking out on a daily basis and say, okay, I believe in this thing. I've got a 5-10 year horizon. 10 years always best, but let's be realistic. 5. That's the way to live. That's the way to start putting money aside and say, I don't know, let's take Tesla, right? Huge, obvious example at the moment. Do I think, based on all the fundamentals and everything that's going on, in the next 5 to 10 years, this will be a strong company in the world environment? And this is a riskier side asset. If I believe that this is there and I've done my due diligence, yes. Do I believe that it will be 20% higher by next week? I don't know. Yeah. It could be 50% lower by next week. But on the whole, things progress. And you've just got to look at history. You've got to look at the Amazon stock price. I mean, we go all the way from 1998, I believe it's IPO, all the way through. It's not been an easy ride.
No.
For a company that looked so obvious to others that it was going to do well. And I guess what I'm getting to the point is, again, going back to my conversation with my family member, is he's like, well, where do I put my money? What do I do with it? And it's the idea that you put it away, you put it to
somewhere you can't touch it.
Yeah, you can't touch it. Lock it away. Even if that's in a bank account, yes, it will lose value due to inflation being 10% for the next year or two. But you've put it away and you've not spent it. And when that time comes, when you're ready to put your money into something use, whether that's an index fund, whether that's property, whether that's a riskier side share or stocks and shares, you can start to do that. And you don't have that potential any other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there is one bit of financial advice that I could impart, and this is not financial advice, it's just a hack.
Yeah.
It is put it somewhere you can't touch it. I'm somebody who I've had some real financial lows, and without any sort of safety net. So it's kind of reckless and loose. And I stayed there, like so beyond the threshold, so close to the threshold of completely messed up. I really wanted to say the F word there. So there's the line, and here's me, so close. And I kept thinking that somewhere later down the line, it's wild, right? But I kept thinking something's going to get me out of this rut.
Sure.
I had no idea what it was, a high-paying job, the lottery, something. I was like, I've got that. And I just stayed there, honestly, for like 2 years, maybe 3. I don't know how. And then every time I tried to put some money away to dig myself out of this rut, I'd end up spending it because it was relatively accessible. Sure. It was either in an easy access saver, or it was in a Monzo pot, or it was in something like that.
So when you'd have some money aside, then something tempting would come along, which would cause you to spend the money.
Usually, I'll be honest, something big. Okay. So not like a big thing I want, but something big, like scuff up some wheels or whatever would happen. I actually think that was the start of my rut, if I think back far enough. But no, if the thing that got me out of it, funnily enough, back then, was withdrawing the cash and putting it in an envelope. Can't spend it then because it's never with me. And I, for years, thought, when I finally got myself out of that, I was like, right, now I want to save to actually, a big thing for me is to buy property. I've really wanted this for a really, really long time. Yeah. And I've felt like I've had the income to do it. I felt like I have the salary that should allow me to save towards it. And I just, for some reason, I wasn't doing it. And the first thing, I went to my sister, I was like, look, if I'm just completely open book with you, will you tell me how to save money? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And she really helped me with this. And her first bit of advice was to open up a savings account. Yeah. And I went with a lifetime ISA. You cannot touch that money. If you do, the government takes 25% of it, I think. I don't know fully how it works. But you can do it on Moneybox. Okay. It's an app. It takes 20 minutes. Well, not even that. It takes 5 minutes. I set it up. And because I can't touch that account, I've actually made decent headway. Right? I'm pretty close to my target. And it's only because I can't get that money out. But like, you don't have to put much in. If you, sometimes I put too much in and I can't, I need that money. But a majority of the time I was just like, okay, £50, boom, put in there. You can't, even if you regret it, what are you going to do? You can't take it out. So don't think that you're trustworthy. Don't trust yourself. You will always spend that money if you're anything like me. Advice. That's the one thing I would just,
I
say
it
to anybody.
Sister on this podcast as well.
Oh, I'd love to have her. Yeah. It should be great.
And as you mentioned, some of the tips that she gave you of that, really interesting as to like there's little things that you can change.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ethoses amongst me and my siblings when it comes to money, though, which is interesting. She's a huge saver. She's really good at putting money away. I don't think she has much investment, but I think combined with her ability to like put money away, that'd be a real powerful, very powerful. Yeah.
So there's a bit of both that you can take.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So going back to the salary conversation that we were discussing.
Sure.
What's your advice to people out there, new grads coming in? Yeah. Everyone's talking about salaries, as I mentioned. Everyone's talking about what you should be earning, where you should be. If you were to give a little bit of advice to those people out there, what would it be?
I have no advice. Okay. Do you know what? I genuinely think that no matter, because I'm trying to put myself in those shoes. When I was younger, if someone came up to me and said this, I was really obsessed with salary. I remember finding out somebody was earning way more than me when I was on 19,500, and I was like, well, I'm clearly poor. Yeah. Like, this is terrible. I need to pursue something else. And there was two sides to that coin. There was one of like, well, yeah, now I'm going to drive myself to... The one thing I never let it do is hate the person who I found out was earning more. Okay. Right? This was a close friend of mine. So in actual fact, I spent the whole time that he was telling me about this, I was like, I'm so happy for you. But in my mind, I was like, right, now I got to go and try and find that. So it was very motivating, but it was also kind of focused on the wrong thing. And again... You've played this trick on me before, but like, if you go back and you think, if I didn't think like that, I wouldn't have ended up here. If I didn't end up really broke and like in quite a bit of debt, if I didn't end up there, I wouldn't have considered learning so much about finance. And then if I hadn't worked a 19,500 a year job, I wouldn't know how to conduct myself at a much higher salary.
Right.
So
you kind of force yourself to learn how.
But in my life, I've only made one decision that steered me away. I've been in a few situations in my life, very lucky to be in this position, where I get to compare two jobs. Like, I've had two job offers, and and I compare them on salary, right? And every time I go with the highest paying one. Every time I've done that.
Right.
I think, if I'm counting right, this has happened to me 3 times.
Okay.
I'm not that good. I'm just really good at interviews.
Yeah, sure.
But I've been in 3 positions where I can choose between 2 jobs. Or, sorry, this does include if you're in a job and you get offered another job.
Right.
And I'd always choose the highest salary one. Do you know the one time I didn't choose salary?
Right.
I came to work here. I'm not kidding. And again, it wasn't like I was being underpaid or anything. It was a case of this was 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I was being offered a full-time position somewhere else. And can I just say it's been the best decision ever. And the reason why I chose not to go for the higher salary is to pursue something that I knew would fulfill me more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is quite a hard decision to make when, as you say, the position you were in.
Yeah.
Where you're pretty desperate, right? To get an
I was still in debt
through.
at that point. I was still in debt. I was... That was a finance position that was going to pay about 22k a year, like finance admin position. I was going to pay about 22k, and this was 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how much you're earning; it's only 3 days a week.
Incredible.
So but this would mean that I would.
Wasn't that long ago either, right?
No, dude. I mean, it was good 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
4 years ago. Yeah.
But it meant that I genuinely thought this. I was like, you're going to be going to work every day with a smile. Can't put a price on that. Because I was like, dude, you've had money and been angry.
Okay.
Not happy.
You've been both.
And sorry, you've had a lot of money coming in and still be broke. So I was like, to hell with it. At this point, I'll take it. So if the only bit of advice I would have is if you choose the money, you're going to have some hard lessons to learn. If you choose something that's going to fulfill you, you might be broke for a good while. But yeah.
But you might come out on top.
You might come out on top.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? It's such a wild thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Ooh. I'm gonna push the question back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, let me ask you that, and then I have a really interesting topic I want to talk about. What did you ask me, though? I kind of just went on a bit of a tangent there.
I was genuinely asking what advice you would give.
What advice would you give to you coming out of uni?
I think I figured it out, obviously, maybe just at the right time or a little bit too late. But it was essentially this whole ethos of stop doing what looks good to others.
Yeah.
Like I've spoken about this a few times, where I was essentially picking a job, picking a salary that I knew would impress others, and I didn't really care. I really didn't care what I was earning. I've had this for a long time, where I've actually had a detachment to money. I like nice things. I like to live life, but it really doesn't mean much to me. Like I don't know why. I could have savings, and we're talking about putting money into a separate account. Whilst again, I understand the thinking behind that. For some reason, it doesn't really do anything for me. I feel a bit desensitized to it. Yeah. That's not saying I'm some superhuman to money. It's just something personal to me that I'm just able to switch off in that mindset. Which means that when I was looking at salaries and so on and jobs, it was always just to please others. And I think I continue that in so many different aspects of my life. So I think we align there on the fulfillment. Do what's good for you. Yeah. Do what makes you fulfilled, makes you happy. A job that satisfies you, a salary that satisfies you as well, of course. Make sure it's something that you're happy with, and you feel like at least your time is being paid for. Yeah. Respective of the work you're doing, certainly in the initial stages, and everything will come after. Everything will sort itself out. But if you're constantly chasing what other people want, you could be on 100k, 500,000, 1 million, and you're still not making other people proud, because you'll see someone else around the corner who's earning a little bit more, just a little bit more. Yeah. There'll never be enough. Yeah. And as we said, unless you're Elon, I'm afraid you're a loser. And you'll always feel like that if you're trying to chase something a bit higher. Yeah. No matter how high you get. So that's something I say, and I think it was Jamie who said it in a conversation with us recently, where he mentioned something, because we said, what's enough? And he gave a number. Yeah. He said something like 75, 80k. Yeah.
There's a study on that.
Yeah, and I admit the study is good, and I looked into that a little bit more of okay, this makes sense, but I don't think it's enough for most people. In the sense, I think once they get to that, they'll want more. Yeah, and it's a continuous thing.
So what that study actually says is that you won't achieve any more
fulfillment,
pleasure out of that. So whatever house, car, and family you can support on 75k a year, if you earn 100k, it just plateaus the amount of pleasure you get after that. So the car you can afford on 75k, let's say it's a BMW 5 Series, luscious car. When you get to 100k a year, maybe you can buy the M5. The problem is you won't feel any more pleasure out of that than you did with the 5 Series. On a serotonin level, I think. I think that's what that means. That's what I've taken away from that.
Yeah.
But I think that you still want the M5. That's the inherent like human flaw.
Yeah.
You still want
Which
it.
is why, yeah. So I appreciate that part of what he mentioned there.
Yeah.
But I still feel that those negative emotions will kick in if that's always been your drive. If it's always been, oh, well, he's earning a bit more, I deserve more. Yeah, you can't just switch them off as soon as you get to a certain level. Oh, I got the 5 Series, I'm fine, I'm satisfied.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't go away. And I think maybe your whole point of when you basically started from square one and you knew you could get a higher job, maybe that kind of desensitized you to the whole chase. So, when you had your other job before you were going to take on this one.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't take that in the end, and you took this one, and you took a lower salary, 3 days a week salary, when you first worked here. Did that desensitize you from everything? Because you basically, for once in your life or once in your moment, you'd chosen something for fulfillment, which made you stop chasing that ambition as much.
Yeah, I think so.
Which means that, like you say, whatever you're earning now, wherever you go, obviously you have that continuous ambition, but it's not everything to you. Yeah, it's not the choice you will actively take just to get a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say so.
And I think that's what, unless you go through a period like that, maybe you were lucky to go through it. I'm not sure. Most people don't. Then they'll never be desensitized by that.
Yeah. What do you think your main thing is? What do you think your main desire for more money comes from? Because there is an element of pleasing others.
Yeah, I was just thinking that in my head.
Same. I was
saying as much as I feel like I've cracked it, I really haven't. I'll be honest though, it's not the money that I think will impress others. You know how people constantly go that money unlocks other things? I think part of me wants it to unlock other things so that I can impress people with the other things. And I'm not talking material things. I'm talking maybe I invest in a business, start a new career here and so on. And that takes me to the point that, that's probably not healthy in its full effect, but I mean, not everything's healthy in its full effect, but at least it's driving ambition. Yeah. It's like, why did I study for my exams? Oh, I thought I'd make my parents proud. Okay, that probably isn't a great drive, but I got some good benefit from it that actually helped me progress. How about you?
I'm constantly questioning whether I'm still doing stuff if we're getting raw with the emotion here. I'm still constantly questioning if I'm doing stuff to impress my parents. Because I thought I let go of that a long time ago. I really thought I did. I put it in the past. I was like, I'm doing everything for me now. And if you look at my track record, it would make sense. I've done a lot of stuff they would disagree with. I really would. But I'm wondering if in the back of my mind, I tried to put this in a conversation once recently. I tried to sort of encapsulate this. I try and take the advice my parents give me, and I try and figure out what their end destination for me is. And then I always try and get there a different route. Okay. So I grew up in a Middle Eastern household that comes with so much expectations. It comes with, and I'm not shaming this by any regard. I really dislike it, but I do understand culturally. I think it's worked before me and it will work after me. Right. But I personally disagree with that. But they expect you to study a certain career. Then they expect you to get a certain job. Study a certain subject. Engineer, doctor, then work in that field, then get married by a certain age to a specific type of woman. They're very strict on this, and again, same thing for women. Very strict on the type of man that you can marry, and then kids, and then expectations on them, and all of that sort of stuff. And I always try to question it. So my parents wanted me to study, become a doctor, or I should say more my dad, but I should study medicine and I should go become a doctor. Why? Because typically that's a very safe career. You'll always need doctors, and they typically earn pretty good salaries. So it's a way for them to tick that box in their mind that they've done their job as a parent. Right. They never need to worry about their kids financially. They're sorted. They've done X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's cool. I just didn't want to be a doctor for that.
Yeah.
But I still took those principles of, well, clearly I need some sort of stability in terms of finance and money, and I need to be able to take care of myself in the future. So I'll try and tick that box whatever I can. I'll scrap at whatever and get whatever job that means. But let me tick that box for them. Okay, well, here are the requirements for the woman you need to marry. Well, I'm like, okay, well, why do you think like that? Usually there's a religious element to it. There is let's take that, right? Let's take the religion behind it. Why do they want me to marry somebody of that religion? Well, it's because they believe that this religion instills these values and morals, which are all very desirable in a life partner. So I'm like, okay, so they're trying to tick in their head, this person's going to be with somebody who has these values. That's a good thing. So like, all right, well, you know what? I don't want to narrow it down to that religion, but I do like these values. So I'll look for somebody with these values. Right. So you see what, the theme here is like, I understand why you're saying it. I just think you're pushing the wrong thing. Yeah. So I'll try and take what you're saying. And I think it's the same thing with like money. So,
they were saying to certainly go for a certain kind of career.
Yeah.
You're saying, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'll take the money side and try and work with that.
Yeah. And in my head that works, but in reality, I still question whether they're making the link. Like I'm still, we're talking about motivations behind money. I'm like, well, I want to make more because I want to prove to them that, hey, I still got what you want. You can tick that box in your parent checklist. Sorry?
But you got it
another way. Yeah.
You got it your way.
There's a cocky element there to it. Like, yeah, I did it my way. But there's also like, hey, I know you worry about your kids, so why not tick that box? Yeah. Right. So maybe that's one of my motivations. They're never connecting these things. Like, he's not a doctor, but he doesn't. He's making steps to make sure he doesn't need to worry about money anymore. So like, hey, Dad, tick that box, would you? Stop bringing up the fact that I'm not a doctor.
Isn't it funny though? Isn't it? It's funny. You know how we said like once you have to spend a good amount of money on something, whatever it is, you detach yourself from that moment. I know you've still got a grudge against Santander and these dodgy wheel companies, but I'm sure you're pretty over it, right?
Yeah, I don't think about it.
You don't think about it. It doesn't cause you the pain it used to. And that's where people say money comes and goes, and I think it's the same when it comes as well. That whole tick box, the thing like that. I could tell my parents that this is what I'm earning. Yeah, probably make them happy for about a minute, and then they've moved on. Tick box done.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh. Like, is that it? I didn't get a little fanfare. I didn't get a party.
Where's my
You're not
parade?
happy? Yeah, exactly. I did it.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big wake up call for me. I mean, my parents have never put that kind of salary, similar to what you say. It's always been about career, never salary. But you see the direct correlation.
Yeah.
And I thought, they'll be proud. I think what they're proud most of is just seeing that turn up, we're doing cool things, and we're working hard, and that's what makes them most proud. And the fact, yes, it's producing a lifestyle, it's done everything. That's tick box done.
Yeah.
Now it's over to me to what I want to do with it and how I want to develop. So, yeah, I'm not trying to give you advice, but all I'd maybe say in that moment is realize it's just a tick box. And once that tick box is done, which you've done,
yeah.
Or I don't know what threshold you've kept it at, but assume it's done. They don't really care. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's a good point. Yeah, no.
It's done. You've hit that now.
Then maybe all that's left now is the ego.
Yeah.
Right? It's the point of like, yeah, but I did it my way. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I completely understand where it's coming from. You explained it in a really coherent way, so it made sense. But yeah. Just realize most people don't care.
How do you mean? Sorry.
You know that whole thing of a zit analogy, where you only care about the spot you have, no one else cares about the spot you've got.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like no one's looking at it, no one cares, right? Like, but you're like, everyone's looking at me. Yeah. It's right in the middle of my forehead. Like everyone's looking at it. No one cares.
They did a really cool study about this.
Oh right.
At a university campus, they got a bunch of people to wear really embarrassing T-shirts.
Okay.
And they basically went around surveying people saying, hey, did you notice somebody wearing this really embarrassing? I don't know what was embarrassing about the shirt. They're like, did you notice this? And they found like 90% of the people didn't even notice. They were like, did you feel, and like, everybody was looking at me. Everybody were like, why'd you make everybody? And then, it turns out a large majority of people didn't even notice. Yeah. So it was Probably because they were focused on themselves.
Yeah.
I think it's called the spotlight effect or something. You constantly think everyone's looking at you, but no.
And we're so self-centered.
I know.
You care about you, I care about me.
Yeah.
Yes, we try and help each other, but we do care about ourselves.
Yeah.
That's just how we're built. That's how we're ingrained.
There's something I thought I had recently. I do think about. I like to think about other people, but by a large majority, I think I consider my own self more than I do others. If I consider on a grand scale of things. But I was thinking about like something my mum did, and it made me think she's really gunning for my success beyond hers. I was just it impressed me in terms of parenthood. I was like, holy crap. Is this what they always say? Like, you'll understand when you're a parent? I was like, it's so... I don't know. It made me feel down because I was like, man, am I selfish? I would never have thought. I think, she did something. And I was like, man, I would never have considered doing something like that.
Yeah.
But that was like her first thing that she did.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap.
They do say that. The parenting. Like,
maybe they have a point.
That you, yeah. But it's interesting. So even with salaries and so on, like... I don't know. You could say your salary to one person, they'll be impressed. You could say it to another, and they won't be as impressed. But really, they'll brush over it and they'll move on. Like
fundamentally, doesn't change your salary.
Exactly right. Yeah. Unfortunately, you got to get to work for that. But yeah, I think that's an interesting point. Just focus on yourself. Like stop comparing yourself to others. Like no one cares.
Yeah. And there was one last bit of I'm out.
You got another topic you want to cover, or?
Just quickly, because we are coming up to an hour, but it's this thought that keeps popping into my head, and I'm wondering, like, isn't it crazy how much large sums of money lose value over time? Right? As a kid, £10, you can buy all the sweets in the world, enough to burn the top of your roof, or the roof of your mouth off. Fantastic, happy days. Then suddenly you might become a teenager, you have a part-time job, and like £100 is like wild, but you can spend it.
Yeah.
But £1,000 is completely beyond reach. It's a crazy number. Yeah. And then you grow up, you scuff up the wheels of a car that you rented, and suddenly someone's taken £1,000 out of your account. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And it just keeps changing.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of that where like you've thought of a large sum of money, and then it means
completely.
Nothing to you?
I mean, that's just the classic thing as a kid, though, right?
Yeah.
Like you're growing up, and I remember like my mum would give me 10p for 10 1-penny sweets, right? That was a lot.
Yeah, man.
I was like, Mum, are you sure? I really don't need them. I act like it always happened. It happened like once in a blue moon.
I know, but that was so sweet. It's just like, but I worry about us financially. Here, take it back, Mum.
Yeah.
Your mum's like, plenty more where that came from.
But I mean, back in the day, 10p would buy you a lot.
Yeah.
These days, it doesn't buy you anything, right?
I can't imagine getting anything
other
for 10p.
than like not even a 10p bag.
Yeah.
What are they, like 12p these days? Like, it's a plastic bag.
Can get you 2 5p's and that's about it. Yeah.
But I have an example. Like I used to save cash, like in my like birthday money and everything, and I think I had a wad of about £110, which is a lot of money. For
what age can I ask?
Must have been 8 or 9.
Dude.
Yeah, sorry, this wasn't one birthday, by the way. This
I know.
Accumulate. Well, I think it wasn't like it was something had happened. I think it was Diwali, birthday, Christmas, like all things in one. And I didn't.
I'm just impressed that you kept it.
Yeah, that was the kind of child I was. I was really weird. Like I would just love hoarding it and just like. I remember I was sitting I had a bunk bed. Like my brother I used to have the bottom, but then he moved into the other room. So it's just my bunk bed. Yeah. And at the top, I just remember like having the money on me. Like I was like some Vegas club, like just making it rain.
It's the cigar.
Yeah, literally.
Or like
honestly,
sweet stick.
I don't know what. I think I must have been 8. No older than 8. And I literally thought at that moment I just made it in life. Yeah. I was like, I've completed it. Yeah. There's nothing more.
Dude, to some extent you did, because occasionally, right, a grandmother will slip you £5, or your parents will give you something. Like, you know, when you like go buy something from the shop and they're like, keep the change. And you're there with £3, whatever. I never saved that. I was straight to the shop. I was like, give me all your sour sweets and Skittles. Yeah. I'm balling today. Throw it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm impressed.
No, I think as a kid I was just very much like that, in that mindset, just hoard it. There were a few things I liked, but I remember my mum would actually come to me and tell me to go to town to buy things. She was like, you need to buy something today. You're going to town, you're going to put that money and you're going to buy a CD or you're going to buy something.
Nice.
And I just couldn't understand it. I was like, what?
That's what I wanted to talk about, and we are really running over here. But what do you think are some great financial lessons your parents taught you?
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have some?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I have one brilliant one. And it was, I remember wanting an iPod. Yeah, I wanted an iPod growing up, right? Two things, sorry. iPod and a laptop. Separate stages of my life.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the iPod. I think they were like £90 or something. And we used to, if you get free school meals at my school, you used to get dinner tickets. It's just these raffle tickets though they used to rip off and give you. They had like £2 value on them, but I just used to sell them for £1 to some kid. Yeah, dude. And that's how I started racking up, like £1, £2. I got up to
entrepreneur from day one.
Well, yeah, it's just some kid offered me. I was like, I can make money off this. I was like, basically, it means you don't eat lunch, but you're a school kid full of energy, and I was fat, so like, I didn't need it. I was getting fed plenty at home, so I was selling these dinner tickets, and I think I got up to, again, an iPod. I think was about £80. I think I saved up about 40.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, 40 days. What's that? 2 months without school dinners.
That's a lot of hunger.
Yeah. Again, dude, I was fat. I had my body had plenty of stuff to chew on. And I really wanted this iPod. And like my parents, they didn't know. I don't think they wanted to know, but I don't think they knew that I was selling my dinner ticket. They wouldn't have been happy about this. But I was selling my dinner tickets, and I got up to that amount, and I told my dad I'd saved up that money. I've saved up that £40. And I think the whole idea was I save up a large majority of it, and then he'd cover the rest. And yeah, so I'd saved it up, and then he just bought me the iPod. He let me keep my money. And he did this twice. I wanted a laptop. Again, didn't eat school dinners, bought these, kept selling them for £1. Dude, inflation, at one point I was selling them for £1.20. I'm not kidding. I was selling them for £1.20 because I thought
you should have kept hold of them now, man. You'd be rolling in those iPods.
I thought that that 20p was nothing, and then someone pointed out, I was like, yeah, but every 5 days you've got an extra £1. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Business 101.
Yeah. Same thing with the laptop, but I actually racked up a fair bit because I was saving again from like events, from birthdays and stuff. And I think I saved up a good £250, £300, and the laptop was about 400. And I got to keep that money. My parents bought me that thing. And yeah, I don't know. Their financial situation wasn't great back then, but to this day, I'm like, those are probably some of the best life lessons of like, they wanted to buy me stuff, but it was like, you better put in the effort so we can see it. And it was just like, in hindsight, I was just like, that's so sweet of them. Yeah. You know?
I think it's just I'll steal your thought a little bit there, because I think I had very similar things growing up. Maybe they all went to the same parenting school or something. Maybe, yeah. But it was, you're right. It's like one of the best things. A little bit annoying in the moment because you're like, you made me save up for this.
I do remember kind of feeling like that.
Like, what? My hard-earned money. Yeah. But yeah, there's something about that. I'm not sure what it is. Is it the fact that it takes work to get what you want? Is it that you can't just have what you want immediately?
I think it's that.
Yeah.
I think you can't just ask something of the world and expect to get it. Because, you know, that iPod, I essentially exchanged 40 school meals for that, 40 lunches for that. Yeah. It was like, you never just get stuff in this world.
What did you do with the 40 quid?
Can't remember. Pissed it away, probably.
Okay. Well, probably not straight away.
No.
Yeah. There's usually like a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
Because you put so much work into that money, right?
Yeah, it was harder to spend for sure. It wasn't, that's it. Earned money is a lot harder to spend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest lesson there is you can't just ask the world of stuff and expect to get it. It was like everything comes at a price. Like you exchange something for something. It was a big deal to me.
It's proof of work. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Interesting. Well, that was a good, nice.
I got a sweaty back.
Nice touching end to the episode.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that one.
If you enjoyed Don't forget to like, subscribe, do what you can do.
That camera's dead.
Yeah, but just in case. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do what you can do to support this this growing channel. Is that what they call it? Channel?
Yeah.
Have I got that right? Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
Completely off, YouTube channel. Spotify, wherever you're listening, please don't forget to let us know what you want to hear about next. We love to hear about new topics. See you next time.
My back is moist.
Okay.
I just wanted to end the episode on that. It's so moist.
Really? From what?
Mate, just sitting.
Sitting.
Is it wet?
No, it's good.
Is it?
Yeah, you're good. I think maybe it's this. Is it?
Don't look at that.
You got a t-shirt under the jumper?
No.
Yeah, it might be the jumper that's just like
Yeah.
causing that. Yeah.